And the final episode for our seniors, the College Crossfire Senior Show, is coming up next.
What the hell's the rest of it?
Oh man, what a old school. Is that a retro intro? Going way.
I'm so excited.
Welcome into College Crossfire. Thank you for being here with us tonight for the last edition of College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jonathan Polutsky. We've got a very special show for you tonight. It's the senior show. So why don't we go ahead and meet our four seniors. Up first, we've got Eric Goodman. Eric, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I like that retro intro. We got a Josh Blunt shout out.
It's definitely not something I'm used to. I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time, but it was nice. It was different. I liked it.
How you doing, Jonathan?
All right, we're going back to my days when Reese was the host and I was a panelist. We're past that. We're past that.
Okay.
Up next, we've got Luke Hendry. Luke, you haven't been on in about a year, but we're glad to have you back. How you feeling?
Yeah, it has been a long time. It's a great feeling to be back on. TSTV is a special place, so it's good to be back.
Well, we're glad to have you on. And up next, we have Steve Helwick. If that is your real name, Steve, how you feeling?
4-3.
Classic Steve answer, doesn't really give us much more than I'm doing well. And then last but certainly not least, not sitting in the 3 spot because there's 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, 4. Sean Maves, how you feeling tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm going to be a little bit off my rhythm tonight, but that's only due to the seating. I still expect to win this.
Still expects to win it.
I'm running on a 2-game win streak. I lost the alumni show, but that doesn't count.
I think your win streak's over in that case.
That's not how that works. It's
You
like
were
losing
on the
All-Star
show.
Game. It's like losing the All-Star game.
Is this the final retirement of Sean Mapes on Crossfire?
Is it the final retirement? Let's ask.
Tune in to find out.
Oh my
we're gonna
God.
find out.
He will be back. He will be back.
Well, you know what? We're glad to have all of you on tonight, so let's just jump on in. We're heading to the Diamond, the softball Diamond, that is. Texas softball wrapped up its regular season on a 5-game winning streak heading into the Big 12 tournament. Overall, Texas finished with a 41-12 record, its best since 2013. This last weekend saw Texas take down Baylor in gritty fashion with a 1-0 win on Saturday and a 3-1 win on Sunday. So what's your reaction to Texas beating Baylor this weekend? Let's start with Eric.
What a great way to end the season. I mean, what a resurgent season for Texas softball. I mean, let's be honest. If we were last year, a year ago today, probably if you were going to kind of make a joke out of any Texas team, it would have been Texas softball. That was the one sport that Texas, they haven't been elite in every sport, but they've been competitive in every sport. And last year, softball was the exception to that. And now softball is arguably one of their strongest sports. And a lot of that is attributed to Mike White and taking basically the Oregon Ducks, who was ranked #1 at parts of last season, taking a large part of that roster and bringing them over to the Longhorns. And now Texas is a top 10 team. But really impressive for Texas. And defeating Baylor twice to end the season, I think, is just a product of the success that they've had all season.
Yeah, new coach Mike White coming in to replace Connie Clark, who was the only coach that Texas had prior to Coach White. He's really done a massive makeover with this Texas softball team that have been struggling for a little while. Luke?
I think when you look at Texas softball, you got to think back to like Cat Osterman days and when Texas softball was dominant, and it hasn't been that way for a long, long time. And so for Coach White to come in here to take 2 series against Baylor, to do what he did in the Big 12, to take this team, to bring 4 Oregon players to the 40 acres and make Texas softball something worth recognizable on the national stage is great for the University of Texas. Look, Texas athletics should be dominant across the board. It doesn't matter if it's golf, tennis, swimming, basketball, or football. Del Conte, the athletic director here, has preached that Texas should set the standard, and that's true for Texas softball. And so I think what we saw this season with Texas softball and what they were able to do, they're most likely going to host a regional, most likely going to enter the College World Series for the first time since 2013. I think that's great for Texas softball. I think it's great for Texas athletics, and I think what we saw this season is a product of what Texas Longhorns athletics should always be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Texas athletics should always be at the top. Although I will have to disagree with you on the one point, because Texas softball back in 2013, Blair Luna, Taylor Hoagland, kind of a powerhouse in its own right. Maybe not with Cat Osterman, but
They
still.
made it to the College World
They
Series.
did make it to the College World Series.
I noted that. I noted that.
Oh,
But you took it back to
he noted
saying
that.
Cat Osterman.
I noted the.
He noted that.
I noted the College World
You're
Series.
kind of, but
trip
you're kind of
in
dissing
2013.
He noted
Blair
that.
Luna, who's one of the
Noted that.
best pitchers in
I-
Texas program
I
history.
noted a College World Series in 2013.
I know you noted the World Series. We're moving on to Steve.
I think he noted that.
Note Blair Luna.
For the record,
Minus
Luke
one.
noted that.
Dissing Blair Luna. I'm
Minus
sorry.
one.
Steve, what you got?
I just think that the Baylor series was a fantastic end to a season that I really didn't see coming from this team. I mean, they struggled in their final years under Connie Clark. Mike White comes in, brings a lot of star players from Oregon. Those have been some of the most effective players this year, from Miranda Ellis to Mary Iacopo, and the team did really well all year, especially with a pitching unit. That's the 7th best ERA in the nation, and that was a really good finish against Baylor because they got swept in that Oklahoma series, and to finish the season with 5 regular season wins going into the Big 12 tournament, that's really impressive, and I think this team's a resilient bunch, and they have great team chemistry all around.
Yeah, Texas, they lost to Oklahoma, were swept by the Sooners, and then they finish out the regular season with 5 straight wins heading into the Big 12 conference play. It's huge for this Texas team. Sean, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. Mike White definitely breathed new life into this program, bringing over a lot of the old Oregon Ducks to, kind of rebuild this program on the fly. And this is definitely a team. The Baylor streak that's nice is kind of what you kind of expect from a team of this caliber, getting to 40 wins. But definitely kind of looking forward. This team is a team that can make some noise going on into the regionals, into the super regionals. Like Luke said, compete for the College World Series. Maybe not win it because he had to beat OU to win the College World Series, and we know that's not exactly the forte of this softball team, but definitely is such a much needed kind of rebirth of Texas softball on the 40 acres.
Yeah, Texas softball had been down for about 5 years. The last 5 years of Connie Clark's tenure, Mike White's bringing them back. And Texas softball, I believe that they are back, and he's done a great job with that. 41 wins this year after posting 30 last year. He's doing great things for Texas in just his first year. Eric.
Did Connie Clark bake the cake? That's the question.
She
baked the
might
cake.
have.
Did she bake the
But
cake?
I
Did she
think
bake the cake?
I think Mike White brought a lot of other ingredients to this cake.
Interesting.
In the form of
Yep.
Elish, Iacopo,
Yep,
Burke,
that,
and Shannon Rose.
Yep, she brought that vanilla
Four
extract into
Oregon
the
players in
program.
Texas.
Exactly.
A little bit of that brown sugar because all we
A
had
little
was
bit of a different taste.
Yeah.
So, Eric, Steve, and Sean each starting off with 2 points. Luke with 1 for a little bit of a diss on Blair Luna, Taylor.
He noted the
Hoagland.
2013.
I noted
He
the
did
20
note
I-
it.
I-
He
I
noted
noted the 2013
noted it.
College
He
World
did
Series.
note
There
it,
is
but you're
He
still
noted
getting
it.
1 point.
No disrespect.
You're
to
still
that
getting the
season.
1 point. Texas is heading to the conference tournament, this time as a 3 seed. They're facing off against 2nd seed Oklahoma State before moving to regionals. So what do you expect from this Texas team during the postseason? And now at this point, you can jump in at any time. There's no order.
I mean, like I said, I expect them to make some noise. So what does that mean? Make some noise. Win some games. Definitely make it to a super regional. That's kind of the bar that I have set for this team. You win all these games. You at least got to make it to a super regional. After that, making the College World Series is a lot to ask of any program, of any team, but definitely super regional.
All right, so super regionals.
I think you're looking at a trip to the Super Regionals as well, possibly a trip to the College World Series. The big thing for Texas is just the depth at pitching. You have Miranda Ellis, who came from Oregon. You have Shea O'Leary, and those are 2 studs on the
Bollinger.
mound. And Brooke Bollinger's great, but the thing is the depth that you have is not what OU has or the big powerhouses in Texas and in college softball. And so I think to see this team advance long into the College World Series, I don't know if you see that, but a Super Regional trip, a College World Series trip, I think that's what the Longhorns are looking forward to.
But now, Luke, the good news is they're not playing Oklahoma in the regional. They're playing Oklahoma State, and now Oklahoma
That's
State.
Big 12 play.
That is
Big
Big
12,
12 play.
That's
tournament play.
Yeah,
That's
Not
true.
the regional
That's
play.
true. That's true. Oklahoma State did take 2 out of 3 out of Texas in the regular season, but that's not going to happen at home in the Big 12 tournament. So I think they use that as a springboard. They're going forward. I see at least a super regional bid, and they're only going to stop there if they encounter Oklahoma in the regional, or in the super regional, which we don't know if that's going to happen. But
It's probably pretty unlikely at this point, but they got selection Sunday, this coming Sunday, so everybody will find out then. So, Steve?
They'll go as far as their batters will take them because I truly believe the pitching could be on point almost every single game. I mean, you have one of the best 3 pitcher rotations in America with O'Leary, and you have Bollinger, not to be confused with Brooks Bollinger. Overall, the team's just really good, and they've come together well this season. And if Janae Jefferson and girls like Caitlin Washington can really pick up the hitting, then I think they can go far, and they'll probably bow out to a team around Oklahoma's caliber, because remember, they got swept, so they're not one of the top teams in the nation, but I still think they have a pretty good future this postseason.
Right. Texas did get swept by Oklahoma. Competitive for the first two games, kind of blowout fashion in Game 3 on Sunday. But Texas does have a real good shot to be competitive, possibly sneak into the College World Series. Only time will tell. But Eric, Luke, Steve, each getting 2 points. Sean with 1. You're sitting fourth. That's why I'm giving you 1. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Moving on, Texas softball hasn't seen a team this good since the Blair Luna days back in 2013.
Which
There we
Luke
go,
noted.
Luke.
Luke noted those Blair Luna days.
But he kind of dissed Blair Luna.
Thanks for tuning
So
in, Blair.
what's been the reason for the return to dominance this year? It's been about 6 years now. Anyone can jump in.
I'll give
credit to the Ducks. Quack, quack, because
the 4 Oregon players that came in is what really elevated this team, and having that connection with Mike White already from Oregon. And Oregon was a very good softball team last year, and to get those people, and now they're some of the stars. Miranda Ellis, she's one of the best pitchers in the nation. She's been tearing it up in the circle all season long. Mary Iacopo, she's one of the team's top hitters, and when you combine that with some of Texas's existing talent, and Janae Jefferson, who's hitting over Texas together, and then you're way back from where you were last year.
All right, so giving credit to the Ducks. What do the rest of y'all think?
I think it's clear. I mean, it's the Oregon Ducks were able to provide Mike White, the coach, the leader, and then you get 4 star players: Miranda Ellis, Shannon Rhodes, Mary Iacopo, and Shannon Rhodes. Those are dominant stars for Texas softball. If you can put together 4 star players and bring in a coach, that's the answer to a solid Texas softball team. So there's no doubt Oregon provided what Texas has this year.
All right, Eric, Sean?
yeah, definitely. You have to give credit to Mike White. He is addicted to quack.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I really like that. You're getting a point just for that.
It's been a crack attack here.
Okay, you're pushing it.
Definitely all the former Ducks have to get the credit for kind of uplifting this program, kind of giving them the boost to get to this point in the season. So definitely Mike White and the pitching.
All right, Mike White and pitching.
I think you got to give a ton of credit to Chris Del Conte for just investing some cash in the Texas boosters. Man, you can't. Mike White wasn't free. You had to pay the man, and it wasn't the students' tuition paying the man. It was the boosters, and also the NCAA transfer portal really came through for the Texas Longhorns, because none of those players had any trouble going from Eugene to Austin this year.
Yeah, I
Red
really,
and Charlene McComb Stadium needs a revamp.
little bit of an
Red
update.
and Charlene. It's not just Red.
That-
it's
that-
not
Red
just
and
Charlene.
That's
You
what he
can't
said.
forget
That's
about
what he said.
Charlene.
Red and
You can't.
Charlene.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm glad you did.
Red and Charlene.
Because you can't forget about the impact
Red
of
and
Charlene
Charlene.
McComb.
right.
McCombs Field just needs a revamp.
And I agree with all of y'all. If any of y'all had brought up the Shea O'Leary, she's been an absolute stud as a freshman.
Did I
I was
not
about
get
to.
it?
I was
You did
about
not.
to.
You
I
did
was
not.
about to. He noted that. Luke noted that.
And he's getting an extra point for it. Okay? So everybody's getting two. Noted, okay? We're noted, okay? You got it? Are you happy now?
We
We're
did a
all
whole block
noted.
on softball, folks. An
We're
entire
all
block.
noted. That's it for now. When we return, we're talking about the issues Texas baseball has dealt with this year and some NBA playoff predictions. Stick around.
Yeah!
Let's remind everybody of the score. We've got Eric with 6, Luke with 5,
How did that
Steve with
happen?
6, and Sean with 5. I made a mistake. We're talking Texas football, not Texas baseball. The football team is coming off a 10-win season and a Sugar Bowl win over the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, Texas did lose a lot of players from last year's team. With Sam Ellinger at the helm. Looks like Texas is going to have another tough schedule next year, so naturally, it's prediction time. How many wins do you think that Texas will have by the end of the season next year? Start with Eric.
I think a lot of that depends on how Oklahoma responds to losing a second straight Heisman Trophy winner. Obviously, they have Jalen Hurts from Alabama, who has he won the Heisman? He hasn't yet, but
Not
he's
yet,
been
not
he's,
yet.
but he's been a finalist. He's been a
Exactly.
finalist.
That's next year.
He's
Supposed
been
to
a
be next
He
year.
could be the third straight for
Which
Oklahoma.
there's a QB
And I
swap.
expect Texas to play Oklahoma twice, just as they did last year, once in the Red River Shootout and once in the Big 12 Championship game. I think Texas, last year they split those two games. That would be, I think most people would expect a similar split of those games. I think the more likely scenario, as unbiased as I can be, I think the more likely scenario is Texas wins both as opposed to lose both. But I still think, and I think that they beat LSU at home only because that game is at DKR and that place has been electric. So I think Texas is 2 losses, however many wins that equates to.
So 11
13,
and 2.
11 and 2, yeah.
All right, 11 and 2. What do you think, Luke?
I like the 11 and 2 prediction. I think a lot of it comes down to quarterback position. Sam Ehlinger is got to be on. College football is dominated by a strong quarterback, and if Texas wants to win 11 games next year, it comes down to the leadership behind the center, and that's Sam Ehlinger. We saw a lot of that last year. We saw a lot of it in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, and if we can see that tenacity, that leadership, especially during the second half of the season, once Sam Ehlinger got into a rhythm, once we knew Shane Buechele was going to be in the second string spot, I think if we can see Sam Ehlinger be that leader, and what you have to have in college football to win college football games is what Texas is going to need next year. So if they're going to win 11 games, maybe 10 and 3, I think it's going to be at that quarterback position.
So a pair of 11-2, Sean or Steve, excuse me. I'm sorry.
I said 5 and 7 in 2015 and 16. I said 7 and 6 in 2017 and 2018. I said 9 and 4. They went 10 and 4, and I'm saying 11 and 3 this year. I think LSU is going to be a tough game. Those strong SEC teams usually play well in non-conference play. And then the other losses I could see on the schedule are Iowa State potentially with Matt Campbell still in Ames, and either Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. This team will reach the Big 12 championship game and a New Year's Six Bowl and finish 11 and 3, which will be another stellar season for the Longhorns.
All right, so 11 wins across the board. Sean?
I'm going to be a little bit less optimistic about it.
Can they boo you all you want?
Yeah, boo me all you want. This is a team that won a lot of one-score games last year. Kansas State was a one-score game. Tulsa was a one-score game. I think this team's going to be closer to the 9 and 3 range. They're probably not going to compete for a Big 12 title appearance. Whatever. Hey, I'm leaving here no matter what.
They don't play Maryland. They
there's
do
no Maryland on
not
the
play
schedule.
Maryland this year.
That is true.
But LSU and Maryland about the same.
No, they're kind of different.
caliber
They're kind of
program.
different, if you ask me.
So yeah, I think LSU's a loss. I think Oklahoma's another loss, and I think there's always one loss hidden in the conference schedule. You look at even the best of the best teams; they always lose to a team that's worse than them. You have road games at Iowa State with Matt Campbell, like Steve said, and then you also have at TCU. I know TCU's coming off a down year, but with Gary Patterson, you can't really expect a prolonged lull from TCU. So I got 9 and 3.
All right, you got
Ooh.
9 and 3.
Boo.
But I got
Boo.
Points down.
Boo.
you got 9 and 3,
That's
but
coming
I
off the
got
Sugar Bowl.
Eric, Luke, and Steve all getting the points. I'm more of an optimist, more so than obviously you, Sean. So, Eric,
down.
Luke, Steve, you're all getting the point. Sean, you're getting nothing. Moving on, the NBA playoffs is always an exciting time, especially when it looks like different series are going to go 7 games. The top 4 teams all advanced out of the first round of the playoffs, which was to be expected for the most part, with the lone exception possibly being Oklahoma City, upsetting the Blazers, which didn't happen ultimately. But out of everything that has happened so far in the playoffs, what has been the biggest surprise for y'all? Let's start with Luke.
I think the biggest surprise is the Nuggets.
Beating the Spurs?
No, not the.
Or with the Blazers?
Not
With the Blazers.
The Nuggets and
The Blazers?
Portland. I think that series is a great series. I think it's great for NBA TV. I think to have that series as competitive as it is, I think to see that the Blazers and Nuggets are that competitive is great for NBA TV. I think it's great for the NBA, and I think that series has been my biggest surprise is to see how competitive those two teams have been.
It's definitely been one of the most entertaining series that I've watched so far. Steve?
I just checked the score, and say farewell to the 2019 Boston Celtics season. That was almost everyone's East Finals pick before the year, and the Celtics are now eliminated in 5 games to Milwaukee. Didn't even make it competitive. Kyrie Irving didn't even show up this playoffs. He said he won't go 8 of 22 again, then went 7 of 22, and last I checked, he was 6 of 21 tonight. Team's worse with Kyrie Irving. This was a team of the conference finals appearance last year who we thought was going to run the East for years to come with all those picks, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, young promising prospects. Instead, not even close to sniffing a finals appearance. Celtics being this bad, I think, is the biggest surprise of the playoffs.
And now Kyrie might even be out of Boston, maybe going to New York, possibly.
Let's go.
Possibility.
Oh, there's 28 other teams you can go to.
Possibly. We'll see. Sean?
I mean, I think his bags are already packed. He's heading into LaGuardia Airport. I think July 22nd. But,
He's got the specific time, date, and time.
He's booked a flight for him.
July 22nd is pretty late, actually. But yeah, I have the biggest surprise being the Portland Trailblazers. Everyone had this team as a dead team walking after the Nurkic injury right before the end of the season. And, you know, a lot of people have them losing to OKC Thunder, but I think, you know, just making this series competitive with the Nugs, I think is a kind of big step. It's done a lot for Dame Lillard. I think he's going to get a lot more endorsement deals, a lot more commercials coming up. Portland Trailblazers' biggest surprise of the postseason.
Yeah, I think losing Nurkic is probably has a bigger impact on the Blazers than a lot of people realize, and the fact that the Blazers are still competing against the Nuggets with Jokic is probably what surprised me.
Canner is out there, man, with one arm.
Exactly, and he's doing pretty well, if you ask me. Eric?
I don't know if this is going to ingratiate me to you or if this is going to bother you, but like
Let's see.
biggest surprise is that the Houston Rockets have battled back to even the series at 2-2, because I thought after game 1 you could argue that Houston got hosed, at least didn't get a fair shake out of that game. Not only that, but James Harden pretty much had his eye gouged out in that game. Just a little bit. I was expecting that to be a sweep from that point on. Not that I didn't think that Houston could compete with Golden State, but I thought after that game 1, the way it went down, I thought there's just no way that Houston actually makes this a competitive series. They've done that and more, and tonight we'll see if they can actually even take the lead in that series. But that surprised me that we've got a game 5 that is compelling tonight.
Now, if Houston took the lead, if Game 5 had happened before this show, I would absolutely agree with you. I think that Houston coming down 0-2 to take a 3-2 series lead would have been the most surprising thing to me. But I'm not that surprised. Houston has been built to try and take down Golden State for the past couple of years now, so it's not entirely surprising.
And they're hashtag Houston Strong, and they
Exactly.
hashtag Run as One. So.
Exactly. So
Is it not a surprise that LeBron James is not in the playoffs?
Oh.
that's a different topic for a
Jesus.
different day. Luke, don't try and make me take the point
throwing it
away
out
from you
there.
because I
Throwing
am
it
trying
out
to give you a point right now. Luke and Sean, you're both getting a point because the Blazers have been the biggest surprise in this year's playoffs for me. Moving on, currently in the second round of the NBA playoffs, it looks like every team left, so that doesn't include the Celtics, could make it to the NBA Finals. And I said, okay, maybe not the Celtics with the way they've played since Game 1, and they're officially out. But it seems like every team left has at least some sort of weakness as we move into the conference finals. But you know what? Let's skip the conference finals. I just want to see who you have making it to the NBA Finals. Let's start with Steve.
I'm going to go with the Warriors for the 5th straight year, something that hasn't been done in a long time. And I think Steph Curry and Klay Thompson can't keep playing this bad for that long because they've had really inefficient showings from three-point range, and that's atypical of them. Curry's never shot below 35% in a series, and he's not close to that mark. I think they'll come back and win an Oracle tonight. And in terms of the East, the Toronto Raptors are on a different level. We saw that last night when they won by 36 points. Versus the 76ers. Kawhi Leonard, I think he's the best player in the Eastern Conference just because he has that jump shot that Giannis doesn't have. Teams aren't going to cheat under the screens on Kawhi Leonard on offense like they do with Giannis. And Pascal Siakam's development this year has really helped the Raptors to become a different team. Addition of Marc Gasol and Danny Green, they're better defensively. They are built for war, and they're built for the Warriors, and that is my finals prediction.
Built for war for years. All right.
Boo!
You want me to take away a point for you? I will take away a point.
Take away a point.
All right, Sean, you're back down to 5.
Wow!
Sean, who do you have?
I got the Raptors, like Steve said. Steve said everything you need to know about the Raptors. I mean, Pascal Siakam, Kawhi Leonard. What else do you?
He plays for them.
What else do you
What
need
else
to know
do you
about the
need?
Raptors?
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby. You don't need to know about Kyle Lowry because he's not going to show up anyway. But out of the West, I have the Houston Rockets, 713-281 and 832. If there's anything about my college Crossfire career is that I've always been about Houston. I've always been hashtag Houston Strong. I've always hashtag pursuit, hashtag run as one. So I got the Rockets. It's so fitting that it's 2-2, and I have at least an ability to say that I think they're going to win the finals this year.
Oh, winning the finals too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's-
Print
that
the
is
T-shirts, Jonathan. Print the T-shirts.
I'm not in
Wow.
charge of that, but okay.
I think he may have just
As
jinxed
much faith,
might have. He
as
might
much
have.
as much faith as I may have in Obi-Wan Kenobi for the Toronto Raptors, I think the Milwaukee Bucks are the team that are on another level in the Eastern Conference. I expect them to be the team that gets slaughtered by the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals.
All right, so we got Warriors Bucks.
And
Luke, what do you
Eric,
think?
I mean, I hate to say it, but you literally took my prediction.
Come on.
It's going to be
Come
Bucks
on.
Warriors. Talent dominates in the NBA right now. The Warriors are by and far beyond better than any team in the West. They have been for the last 4 years. It's going to be 5 years in a row. And the Bucks on the East, they've clearly shown against the Celtics why they're the best in the East. It's going to be Bucks Warriors in the NBA Finals this year.
And Boogie Cousins hasn't ruled out a potential return to this season. So
Yeah.
he could be back and just take the Warriors to another level.
They need him.
They are
They
that-
really
Oh, yeah, they
need
need
him.
him.
They
'Cause-
really
Because
need
four
him.
All-Stars obviously isn't enough.
Their bench is horrible, though.
Their bench is horrible. I will give you that,
I mean,
Steve.
but
But I'm giving the points to Eric and Luke. Sean, you're at -1 from that. From
believe in Canada?
I do not.
God's plan.
I don't. So
The
Eric
North
and Luke, you're
remembers.
each getting the point. Great debate, guys. That's it for now. We've got a very special edition of Rapid Fire up next. Stick around because this time you really won't want to.
Come on.
Welcome back to College Crossfire. It's time for a special edition of Rapid Fire. But why don't we go ahead, say the game is over. Everybody here's a winner. As much as I don't
I
want to
was
give
winning.
Sean
I
a
was
winner.
literally winning.
You were tied with Luke first
Okay.
off.
Can
It was
we
8-8,
at least
7-5.
flash the scoreboard?
Flash the scoreboard
We'll
one
flash
more
it later.
time.
We'll flash it later.
Update.
So, no, Sean, you lose.
You lost, buddy. You lost, buddy.
Instead of the usual rapid fire, let's take some time and reflect on our time here at TSTV and at the University of Texas overall. So what I want to kind of do is let's just start off with our favorite moment here at TSTV Sports these last couple of years. We've all spent at least 2 to 4 years here. Charlie Strong, I don't think that's necessarily a good moment, but to each their own. So just your favorite moment here at TSTV Sports, and anybody can give their answer at any point.
Well, I'll start. I mean, we'll keep it to College Crossfire. Just something about the Halloween show really was fun for me. I love dressing up. I know one year I was Waldo, and another year I was Breckenhager with the
That was pretty good.
with the Daenerys Targaryen wig, by the
pretty
way.
good.
And speaking of Game of Thrones, I remember you as Jon Snow one year. You
I
had
didn't
your
come
fair
on
share.
as Jon Snow because I didn't have the costume at the time, but I did dress
We
up.
need to find that picture because he
I'll
looked
send you the
amazing as
picture.
Jon Snow.
I'll send you the picture, but I can't send it to you right now.
Okay, all right.
Luke?
No, I think TSTV is an incredible place for anybody who loves sports, likes media, likes TV, wants to get their feet wet and learn. And as a senior, you kind of move on to other things, but there's nothing better than that freshman, sophomore year and being able to come here, make friends, have fun, make mistakes. Heck, I made one tonight. But that's what
Jesus.
makes.
Wait, only one?
Maybe
He made a
couple.
lot, but somehow he still ended up
But
with the most points.
That's what makes this such a special place, and there's no doubt that I'll always remember my time here at TSTV.
Steve?
Oh, this was just a really great experience overall at TSTV. I mean, I still can't not fathom the fact that I got to be on the sidelines for the Texas Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, two just of college football's greatest games every single year.
The Texas Bowl, by
Oh,
the way,
yes.
is apparently one of college football's greatest games.
Apparently.
So, but also just a lot of the opportunities TSTV gave, learning how to edit packages, film things, get to call highlights on the air. I got to unleash inner Chris Berman and Ernie Johnson at times. I mean, that was a childhood dream of mine. And then getting to film the roundup video, that was also a great moment at TSTV. Getting to go to frat parties with a camera. I mean, what's better than that in Crossfire overall was great. I'm glad that I got 3 great hosts in Reese, Mark, and Jonathan too, especially.
Well, I thank you that you think that I'm a great host. That means a lot to me. That really does.
I'll see you on a boat one day.
You probably will. Probably in about a week. But Sean, obviously you don't think I'm that great of a host, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would say like 2.5 great hosts.
Yeah, fair enough. Understandable.
But I definitely, like, there's no one moment I can point to that's really my favorite moment. It's just the camaraderie and, in between blocks, in between shows, post-show meetings, that kind of stuff is all what I'll kind of cherish and remember the most. I mean, honestly, talking about, like, women's volleyball isn't exactly, what I'll remember. But, just the kind of relationships and friendships that you forge here, being able to do what you love, have fun, is definitely what I'll remember the most.
Absolutely. I mean, I've made so many of my friends here at college, here at TSTV Sports. I mean, I consider not only you four, but everybody else that you can't see behind the camera, or maybe we'll get a shot of them right there. All these people from the freshmen up to the juniors. You're not just my friends, you're my family now, and I love each and every one of you. But I mean, my favorite moment obviously has to be when I don't know why I started it, but putting everything for whatever reason on a boat.
On a boat,
like I don't know why. But I put
on
everything
a boat.
And I mean, if you've been watching for the last 4 years, I've traded in my fishing shirt from freshman through junior year for this suit. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'd much rather be wearing the fishing shirt, but that obviously my favorite moments right there was anytime that I could get somebody to laugh by putting the most random and thing that should not be put on a boat ever and just put it on a boat. So, I mean, I've had such a good time just with all of y'all and with making ridiculous remarks like that. So, and I mean, so like I said, everyone's had a favorite TSTV moments, but I also know that y'all have also had a favorite Texas sports moment, whether it be your time here at Texas or just any time that you've been a fan of Texas. So why don't we just go ahead and just like talk about preferably your time here at Texas, your favorite Texas sports moment. But if it's not, you can go ahead and just mention that.
Well, I'm tempted to say any of the football games any of the big football games from last season, but I was already kind of like, my mentality of Texas sports was set by then. So I want to go back to freshman year, or at least about then. And Texas football wasn't very good then, so I'm not going to say a football game. But there was a night, I don't know if you were kind of going around between the arenas at that night, but there was a night where Texas basketball beat the UNC Tar Heels on a buzzer beater.
I remember
Not
that.
only that, but Texas volleyball advanced in a playoff game over the number 1 seed Florida on a overtime in an extra points situation. And that to me was like, okay, not only is this school and this athletic department amazing in the major sports, but like even in the lesser sports can be a complete thrill ride. And that was when I knew I was bleeding born orange for the rest of my life.
I mean, those were amazing moments for sure. I actually wasn't here in Austin, so I didn't get to see them live. I saw the buzzer beater against UNC back home in Houston, and that was just like, you hadn't seen that from Texas basketball in such a long time. So it was
Javon Felique. Shout out Javon Felique.
The wing 15-footer.
Exactly.
Mr. Big Chest.
I don't want to tout one individual too much, but I think my favorite Texas sports memory is probably when Chris Del Conte was hired. I hate to say it, but
Wow.
the guy
business decision.
The guy is going to be the turning point for Texas athletics. I endured 3 years of really, really sorry football, really, really sorry basketball, and this year really sorry baseball. And so those are the 3 profitable sports here at Texas. And so we got a guy now in CDC who's going to come in. He's going to change Texas athletics for the good. I think he wants to set the standard again. It hasn't been that way for a long time. So getting to go to his press conference, which I was able to do, was one of my favorite moments, to hear what he had to say, to hear the excitement that he had. It's been a rough go for the athletic director position here since 2015, and to have a guy like CDC here that's going to lead Texas athletics, one of the more recognizable figures in NCAA athletics, I think is great for UT, and that was a really special moment because that's the future of Texas Longhorn athletics.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, and since about 2009 with the Lost Dawes, Texas just kind of experienced a downturn. Steve Patterson, kind of the low point. Mike Perrin starting to bring things up, and then like
But
you
it's
said,
not the same.
Steve
It's an
Patterson
intern.
might go down as the
It's-
worst athletic
Oh,
director
it was bad.
It's
It
an
was
Texas
intern.
history.
absolutely
You know,
horrible.
that position at a university is the most important, and we got a leader now here at UT.
Absolutely. Steve, what do you think?
It's a very easy choice for me. I'll be honest, it wasn't the most entertaining game, not something I'm going to look up highlights on YouTube too often. But the Sugar Bowl win over Georgia was just a great experience overall. Just getting to spend that entire week in New Orleans and watch the team pull a 2-touchdown upset over Georgia and their biggest win of the decade. So that was just a really great game for the Longhorns overall. Sam Ehlinger just pounding it into the end zone and beating that tough Georgia defense that was talking smack when Alabama was beating Oklahoma, when Clemson was beating Notre Dame. Georgia was saying how they should have been in the playoffs, and seeing Texas go up 3 touchdowns over them before allowing Georgia to come back in the final minute. Seeing the faces on a lot of the players celebrating and the confetti, and overall the scene, Tom Herman, Sam Ehlinger, the whole team was just so enthusiastic and excited that night. I think that was truly one of the best nights in Texas football history, and I was so glad to just be a part of it because, I mean, wow. Like, what better does it get than a bowl game, Bourbon Street, and Texas football winning?
It's on New Year's too.
Oh.
Exactly. You just
Yeah.
honestly you can't beat it. It might be a common one, but rightfully so because it was just an instant classic. Texas coming out hitting Georgia in the mouth.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention
Bevo.
Exactly.
Bevo and Ugga.
Started pregame.
won the game
That
before
was
it
a
even
neat
kicked
moment.
off.
That really set the tone for this Texas team against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and Texas proved Bevo right.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sugar Bowl is definitely kind of the high point of Texas athletics on my, during our time here on the 40 acres. But I have to go to a game that I was actually at. I'll go to the Notre Dame game in 2016, the Tyrone Swoops game. I mean, what better does it get than that? Beating a highly ranked Notre Dame team in Week 1 on Labor Day, before we knew anything about what the rest of the college football season had in store, which included 4-8 Notre Dame and Texas going 5-7 and losing to.
Hey, they were in the top 10.
Losing to Kansas.
They were in the top 10
Yeah,
at one point.
They were in the top 10 until they lost to Cal.
Yeah.
On a dropped pick. Anyway, that was, before we get on to all the nonsense and all the tragedy that happened later that season, that moment was really the greatest because you really believed, in the words of Joe Tessitore, that Texas was back, folks. That, and just the excitement, the pure joy that I had at a game like that will really, I don't think it'll ever be replicated, and it surely was my highest point here at UT.
Yeah, there was so much excitement after that game because what was it, a double overtime game or at least one overtime, and it was just. I don't want to repeat what any of y'all said, so I won't because there also hasn't been a whole lot of highs for Texas, at least for Texas football since this year. So I'm going to take it back to before we were here at Texas. I'm going to take it all the way back to 2011, Texas A&M, College Station, Case McCoy. With the scramble up the middle.
The slowest 20-yard scramble of all time.
To lead to the
It
field
was
goal.
beautiful, though. It was beautiful.
It was like a baby giraffe taking its first
Exactly.
steps.
But he gets it somehow up to about, makes it about a 40-yard field goal for Justin Tucker. Kicks the game-winning field goal, the series-winning field goal up to this point, sending Texas A&M packing to the SEC. It's got to be my favorite moment. I was there in College Station.
Wow.
One of
Okay,
like
that's
one
you
of
buried
like
the
long
lead
time
there.
long.
You buried the
Long
lead.
time.
one of like 5 Longhorns there, and it was amazing to hear College Station, which one of the loudest stadiums, if you've ever been there, that I've ever heard, go completely silent. Music to my ears. It was just pure music, and that's got to be my favorite moment in Texas football history. Even more so, yes, Texas won against USC, the national championship, but I think against Texas A&M, it just means a little bit more, and that's been my favorite since I've been there, since I got to go there. So we've all spent several years here at TSTV, and I know that I've definitely learned a lot during my 3.5 years, but I want to ask, what's one thing that y'all have learned from TSTV that y'all will take as you move on from Texas and into your future careers, or just your future lives, really? Anyone can start.
I mean, I learned when people say wrap it up, they really mean wrap it up.
But we really tend to ignore that.
They do not want to know that much about Texas softball. Let me tell you, folks. They really want no, but definitely just kind of the ins and outs and all the stuff you don't see on TV. Everyone here kind of grew up watching Sports Center, some version of the local sports wherever you're from, and you don't see a lot of what goes into it when you sit down at 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock to watch that, but. Watching it here, getting to see the kind of the back end, the ugly side of, sports television is definitely kind of what I've learned the most is just all that stuff.
I think the biggest thing I've learned is the growth that people can have. To be real honest, I think whether you're back in the control room right now producing this show, whether you're up here on set and on camera, the amount of growth that you see over 40 years of being at TSTV, and you see yourself not only grow, but then you see a lot of people that are younger than you and then what they're able to do, not being here for a while and then being able to come back and to see exactly what so many people here at TSTV are now doing. It's incredible to see that so many people can grow in this industry, and that's sports television, and there's so many different platforms to do that, whether that's producing, directing, or on air. And to see that growth, I think, is a really neat thing that I've learned, that no matter where you start when you come to this school as a freshman, that 4 years later you can be almost a completely different person in regards to sports media.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just seeing the growth from not only the four of y'all plus myself, but everybody else back here that we don't see right now. Maybe we'll see in about a second.
Yeah.
But
Martella, get the shot.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like watching these guys and girls grow up so much in the couple of years
In
that
a
I've
really
known them.
short
It's just
time.
it's been amazing. It's been amazing. Eric, Steve.
Steve-O.
Steve, what you got?
I mean, I've learned a lot just from learning how a basic broadcast production works. That's something I never really envisioned. I'm thinking, I just want to go on TV and talk about sports. I mean, but in this time, I learned how to operate a camera. I learned how to edit videos in Premiere, and I learned just how much work and effort goes into creating just a small clip or a video. And I think that's something I really appreciate now when I see things on TV. I'll see just graphics get flashed up during an NBA playoff game. I'm thinking about all the people who've been putting in the work for that, and there's so many people behind the scenes that go underappreciated, and I think they deserve a lot more recognition because they're really the true all-stars that have gotten all of this to work. I mean, we're just faces on TV that talk about sports, but there's so much more that goes into this, and I think that's really important.
Eric?
Well, the old joke about sports media is anybody who's in this business is only in it because they couldn't do it as a player. And
That's true for me.
True for me, definitely true for me. But at the same time, I can't appreciate enough how the feeling of being part of this team has been for me. And I had the privilege of being one of the leaders of this team for the last couple of years, and it's as satisfying as I could have ever hoped, if not more so, because you show up just like, I guess just like as a game, on a night of the show, you can't do everything by yourself. You need to have the support of your teammates and the crew around here and everybody I've got to work with. They felt like teammates to me from day one, and it was just so much fun. And if I couldn't be out on the court or on the field playing the game, there was no place I would have rather been than right here in the studio or right just over there in Master Control, working with this team and making tons of fun memories and hopefully some decent television in the process.
Exactly. I mean, I've learned a lot just how to perform and like do this type of business, be in this type of business, just growing as a broadcaster, being on air, doing so many amazing things. I mean, College Crossfire has given me so much opportunity to kind of show up and input my personality into a show. And I know for a fact, if it hasn't been announced yet, I'm going to announce it right now to the rest of our fans. We've got Turner Barnes coming on to be the next host of College Crossfire. He's going to do an amazing job. I have absolutely no doubts about that. Turner Barnes, you're going to kill it next year. And I just honestly, no, don't put it on a boat. We're retiring that. No more on a boat.
And get in the Raptors.
It's going in the Raptors, but it's just like you learn so much from just the amount of time that you get to spend on camera, and that's what I've learned the most. It's just being able to become a much better broadcaster than what I was when I started. When I first got here, I didn't know the first thing about what it was to be a broadcaster. I didn't know how to create a package, how to call highlights in the correct sense. I feel like I can now, and it's all because of TSTV. And I don't think that if it wasn't for the rest of y'all and everybody else out there, I wouldn't have learned that. So, I mean, it's been an amazing ride for me, and I hope it has been for all four of y'all. So, like I said, everyone's a winner here. So, okay, maybe not Sean. Why don't we just cut him out?
All right.
But since everyone's a winner here, everyone's going to get a FaceTime. So, Eric, why don't you take us away?
Well, I mean, I obviously want to thank, my parents especially for just making it possible that I could come to this university. I'm an out-of-state student, so it wasn't the logical destination for me, but it was the main. I don't know which camera I'm looking at, by the way. Okay, but it was the one that I wanted to come to most because I knew what the burnt orange meant and I knew what Austin meant. But I also want to just recognize the old FIG, first year interest group. It's what you do first semester of freshman year. I have two of my FIG mates with me right up here, Luke Hendry and Jonathan Polasic. And many more that have gone on to great things, especially here at TSTV and Texas Student Media. It's Trenton Dashner, you guys, Chelsea Moreno, of course, and Jordan Sanchez, who's working the Longhorn Network. And I think if we're not in the FIG Hall of Fame, then I don't know who is, because it's been impressive.
It's been a good one for sure, Luke.
Yeah, I think it's. Coming to UT is a special thing. It's an awesome school. It's a great university. It's a chance to where you can grow as a person. You can grow in your field of choice, and TSTV has provided a lot of that for me. And there's no doubt that I'll reflect on these 4 years as some of the best of my life, and that's what I hope everybody who does 4 years here, or however short or long of time they do at UT. I think they all grow. And learn a lot from it. And if you're a sports fan, there's not a better spot to be. And I think the future of Texas athletics is bright. And I think what I'll remember from these 4 years will carry with me for a long, long time. And so I'm forever grateful for 4 years at UT.
Steve?
I mean, it's been a long and rough 4 years of college, but there's one thing I've always been able to count on to make my day, and that's just been TSTV throughout the 3 years that I've spent in TSTV, and it's been great. I think I've touched on a lot of points already. The Texas Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. I mean, I would have never envisioned these opportunities as I entered Texas as a freshman chemistry major. So, I mean, I'm grateful for all of that. I'm getting to do the roundup video. I think that was one of the coolest things I've ever done with TSTV, and I'm glad I got to do that. Get to go on Crossfire with some great people. Get to call highlights with press box. I mean, so much was offered here just with 4 simple letters, TSTV, so I think that was I think overall this experience has been great. I'd just like to thank God for just everything he does for me and helps provide this path for me, and then my parents and my family have been so supportive, and just all the people around here. I mean, without you, none of this is possible, so I'm just going to give my thank yous out.
Sean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going to UT has always, been a dream. I mean, since as long as I can remember, UT was the only school I ever wanted to go to. I mean, I only applied to 2 schools coming out of high school. I applied to UT. I did not get in. I applied to UT Tyler. I got in.
You're here now.
I was able to transfer in, and I mean, every day it's incredible. When you think about all the people that go here, all the great people that go here, and to think that I hope to be one of them. I'm not there yet. I already know that I'm not there yet. But you think of all the sacrifice that goes into sending a kid to college. I mean, I got to thank my parents. I mean, without y'all, none of this is possible at all. And I had to thank my family. In general, just being able to provide and do all this stuff for me. It's really incredible to think about, and getting to spend time here at TSTV, do what I love at the place that I love is really just incredible stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I can say without a doubt that the 4 years that I've been here at UT, I have not had more enjoyable moments than I have had here in this very studio, in Master Control, just in this building with you four and the other seniors who aren't here with us right now, and the freshman, sophomore, junior class who's grown up, I feel like, right before my very eyes. I've seen a lot since y'all first started, coming up now, doing great things. I'm really appreciative of everybody here. I'm appreciative of y'all keeping me in check, making me a better broadcaster, and I've really enjoyed learning from these guys behind the camera right now. Even though they're younger than me, they've helped me in so many ways that I can't even count right now.
And the alums for sure.
And the alums too. The guys that were here before,
yeah.
the guys that were here before us that have already graduated, have taught me so much, and I just wouldn't be here without all of you guys, my parents, my family, anybody who has supported my journey getting here to become a sports broadcaster. I'm just forever grateful, and there's nothing that I could ever do to fully repay them. So that's all that I have for y'all, and that's all the time that we have for tonight. Congratulations to our seniors, Eric, Luke, Steve, and Sean. We wish them good luck as they graduate and do great things in their careers. I also want to take this time to thank our sports directors, Josh Martella and Christine Taylor, as well as the man in charge of this show, Assistant Sports Director Daniel Shee, for giving us the opportunity to make this show as great as it can be. And I also want to give one last shout out to College Crossfire's new host when the show returns in the fall, Turner Barnes. He's going to do great things as host, and I'm excited to see what he does. And once again, don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and in master control, signing off for one last time in my collegiate career, I'm Jonathan Polasic. Have a wonderful evening.